Welcome to the Zoe Routh Leadership Podcast, your source of strategies and insights to make you a better leader. Influence, improve, inspire.
Hi, it's Zoe, and I'm here today with a very special guest and friend who I've known for, forever. It seems like 15 years, but I haven't seen until just recently when I literally ran into her on a run. I was running one direction, she was running the other direction, and there she was, Laura Marshall. And Laura and I met when we were both working at Outward Bound many moons ago, doing outdoor experiential activities. And since then, we've been sort of hanging around, seeing each other on Facebook and other things. And Laura's got some amazing adventures, or one massive, amazing adventure coming up. And I wanted to interview her about her experiences being a mega triathlete. Let's put it in no other words. She's got this, she'll tell you all about this huge event. I'm absolutely delighted to have her because A, she's remarkable. B, she's ridiculously modest about everything she does. And I think she can inspire us on so many different levels. And I'm so pleased to have you on the call. Welcome, Laura.
Hello. Hi, Zoe.
Well, Laura, apart from being an outdoor experiential educator, after she left Outward Bound, she went back into or started as a teacher. Were you a teacher before you went to Outward Bound? I can't remember.
No, I wasn't. So, I finished Outward Bound and kind of did I did a big bike trip to do a bit of soul searching to work out what my next step was. And I realized education was a big part of who I am. So, I decided teaching was the next step that I needed to go back to uni to make that happen.
Okay, so we went back to uni. We'll talk about a little bit of a bike trip in a moment. So Laura does nothing by halves, and this little bike trip was basically cycling across America, by the way. But we'll get back to that. Let's talk about the adventure that's about to kick off. You're heading to the UK tomorrow. Tell us about the triathlon that you're doing there.
Yeah, so it's called the Enduroman Arch to Arc. So it goes from Marble Arch in London and you run to Dover, which is 140 kilometres. And then from Dover, you swim the English Channel to Calais, which if I go in a straight line is 33 kilometres. And then you hop on your bike and ride Calais to Paris and finish at the Arc de Triomphe. And that's just under 300 kilometres.
Okay. I think if you listen to that, it's like, what the hell? You run a couple of marathons, over 3 marathons before you get to the English Channel. You swim the English Channel, then you ride a bloody long way on a bike. What the hell? And there's not many people who have done this or try it. So what are the stats around? How many people are having a go this year?
It's about 12 people, I think, this year that are having a go. So between June and October, they have about 2 people a month that do it. Overall, since it began, there's 34, I think, that have finished it. There's like a 50% chance of actually completing it. And there's been 9 women overall that have finished.
All right. And you're hoping to be one of the amazing people who actually completed, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, I just want to finish it. Okay.
So let's rewind a little bit, right? So this is a major adventure. You don't just sort of wake up one day and decide to go for an Uber triathlon like that. When did you actually start doing these kind of events? When I knew you, you started running marathons as well. So I was running a couple marathons, and I knew that you started running marathons too. What was the first sort of big, larger than life, epic type of thing? Depending on who you're talking to. I consider a marathon pretty epic, even though that probably feels like nothing to you now.
Yeah.
What was it like? When was the moment you started to kind of push yourself? Do you remember that?
I think I've always done something. So I guess growing up, I was a swimmer. I used to swim a lot, and then I played team sports. But when I came to Australia, it was pretty much probably then, I guess working at Outward Bound, I needed to find something for me to sort of balance myself out, and that's where running really came in. And with running came mountain biking as well. So I probably sort of when I came to Australia, so early 2000s, and I did a few 24-hour mountain bike races, which I really enjoyed. And I guess being at Outward Bound, there's people that are kind of into similar things. So did adventure races. So I was lucky enough to do the XPD, which is a 10-day adventure race in a team of 4. So we did that up in Cairns and also in Tasmania as well. So I think things have just grown over time. And I guess as I've got older, the challenges have increased. So, yeah, I mean, I've been pretty lucky with things that have come along.
Lucky is one word, very crazy might be another. And I'm sure you get this all the time. Like thinking about the one that you're about to kick off next week. Why? Like people want to know why the hell would you push your body to the brink like that? Because it does require a ton of training and then be during the actual event. Like it really does test the limit. So what is it about that kind of experience that you would keep stumping up?
Yeah, the challenge is just the challenge. And for me, I love exercising. Like it makes me feel whole, I suppose. And up until even now, it's still a coping mechanism, I suppose. Like I guess suffering from depression, running was a real meditative thing for me and just helped me stay balanced. And then just if I keep pushing myself and going, I guess that's just how I cope, I suppose. And it's just increased. And I suppose once I started sharing it all with people, it sort of just became a thing. And it's kind of just what I do. It's just who I am, I suppose. So, yeah, it's just the challenge.
It's the challenge. And I think challenges like that are really kind of addictive. It's the dopamine hit when we strive for something big and complete it. You get that really very much an inner reward. And your training is so huge that even the training itself is an accomplishment, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was talking to a friend the other day and she was saying, it's just even to comprehend that you can go and do something like that, even though you haven't done it, just to think that you can and all the effort that's been put into it already. But it's just being focused and being persistent and consistent. And I think when you know your why, then the how just happens, So, yeah, I think I don't know. I guess it's just what I do.
Well, it's become a major part of your lifestyle, that's for sure. And your why is about it. It's the addiction to the challenge, and it's a mental health process for you. And I know the mental health issue is a big thing for you because are you supporting Beyond Blue through this adventure as well? Tell me about your relationship with that organization.
Yeah, so we're raising awareness and funds along the way for Beyond Blue, and I guess I believe in what they do, and to just try and lessen the stigma of mental health. I suppose when it is a very common thing, and the more it's put out there, and the more you share. And that's been a big thing for me, I suppose. Just I've never really told people about my mental health journey, and this year it's kind of been put out there, just the way it's all happened, and it's actually been quite, I guess, enlightening for me as well, and just how other people share with you, and just if nothing else happens from this thing, just being able to sort of share that's been quite valuable for me, and hopefully other people as well.
Absolutely. And I think when people talk about what happens when they get it and how they deal with it and what supportive mechanisms they have, like you have exercise to help process whatever's going on for you biochemically and in your emotional state, it helps other people normalize it and know that there's techniques and ways of coping and getting through it, which I think is really helpful because it's a lonely condition. It's not one that makes you want to reach out to people often.
Yeah, and the bizarre thing is that so many people have some degree of depression or anxiety or stress, but because you can't see it, people tend to shy away from it and don't necessarily believe it's a real thing.
Yeah, because you can't see it, touch it, or measure it necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So tell me about, because I'm curious about this, and I'm sure people listening will too. Tell us about your training regime for the Arch. Is it the Arch to Arc or Arc to Arch? I keep getting that mixed up.
So it's Arch to Arc, Marble Arch to the Arc de Triomphe.
Okay, Arc de Triomphe. Okay, great. Yeah. So how do you train for that? So you must be in tapering mode now. So at your peak training, tell us about your peak training weeks. What did those look like? Yeah,
they were big. So I'd say it's been a couple of years like really working towards this event, but in earnest, it was in January where I got myself a coach, and that really helped just kind of put everything together and keep the balance of all the disciplines. At the peak of the training, it was about 50 hours a week. So, I decided that I couldn't.
It's more than a full-time job.
So I decided I couldn't really work anymore. So I decided not to for the rest of till the event itself. The 50 hours a week. So swimming would be four pool sessions a week, which would be 7K sets, and then I do an ocean swim at the weekend, which would range between 6 and the longest one was 10 hours. So, and I'd have to make sure that was in kind of cold water. So I'd go up to Sydney and Brighton, and the coldest one we did was 14 degrees, which was really tough. I didn't think I'd get through that one, but because once I start thinking I'm cold in here, I couldn't change the mindset, I was cold, but normally you could sort of get through it, but I did it, but I struggled. So that was a 6 hour in the 14 degrees. Yeah. And then around that, like swimming for me was the weak link. So I put a lot more time into that. And then the running, so I do like 2 sessions a day of the running. Like I do 30K in the morning, and then I might do my swim. Then I do another 30K in the afternoon. So kind of like
what? Really? 2 30Ks a day?
Yeah. So not every day. Like that would be, it'd slowly build. So and then the longest run I did was 100K. So we just broke that down into 20K laps at Lake Bully Griffin.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that was great because I had people come and join me at various points, and that really. I don't normally like running with other people, but it really kind of spurred me on, I suppose, because I didn't want to let them down. So I ran it much faster than I would have on my own. And the cycling has been like the longest ones I've done are 220. And so, a lot of visits up to Goulburn and back. But and that's probably, again, long rides at the weekend and then sessions during the week. So, yeah, and I've had a great coach who's been really supportive and hasn't put anyone through the Arch Dark before, but he's managed to met it all together, and we worked with a nutritionist as well, which was really valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I bumped into you, you were eating hot crust buns. You're right, like it take a while to try and get that, like, to work out how to eat food while you're exercising for so long.
Yeah, it does take a while, but I've found, more wholesome food is better. So things like roast potatoes, like whole potatoes have been good, or mashed potatoes with soup. Then I get your little camping stove out and, do that. So having a support, because I'll have a support crew, they'll be able to prepare that stuff for me. Sandwiches, a bit of a winner. Things like that. And then the sugary bits are mostly, I drink cordial and glucogel beans. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And how have you gone with injuries? Because that seems like a huge amount of pressure on everything.
Yeah, I have to say I've been incredibly lucky. The biggest issue I've had is my left shoulder, just having a shoulder impingement. But I've been seeing a great physio who, again, has just been amazingly supportive and just lets me come along and do Pilates there. So she's written out a little kind of workout for me with Pilates, and I go twice a week, and that's really helped kind of keep that at bay. It was a little bit bad in June, but we've worked it out. And, I think I haven't been too bad because even though I go for a long time, it's not like really intense, it's not like sprinting or anything. It's just plodding along. Yeah, so I've been really lucky. And at the moment, the shoulder's great, and fingers crossed it stays that way.
Well, yeah, that is remarkable because that's such a huge pounding. And you look really well, like considering you're flying out tomorrow to the UK for a week or so of visiting family, then you're doing this massive event. Yeah, I think I was expecting someone to look gaunt and exhausted, but you look really fresh.
Well, I'll be honest, I just woke up from a nap. So yeah, I've become accustomed to napping for an hour or 2 hours, sort of midday. But that's a good thing because on the event, that's probably what I'll end up doing. So just keep rolling, have a nap, off we go again. So just changing your body a little bit.
So I think one of the big questions people are likely to have, I certainly have it, is like, how do you keep your brain focused? Because it's so monotonous. 20K loops around the lake, like one is enough, like 5 in a row, or even just kilometer after kilometer in the pool, or kilometer after. Like, what do you think about, and how do you deal with that monotony?
Yeah, sounds boring, but I do a lot of counting, especially when I'm swimming.
Yeah, right.
But when I'm running, I find it really meditative, and I just kind of lose myself. I think about all sorts of things in terms of, what I've done in the past, and just remembering experiences, things people have said, and I might ponder on that for a while, or thinking of things I want to do. It's kind of, I guess it's a sort of creative space in a way. Your mind can just wander. So I suppose it's a bit like daydreaming in a way. And the riding, similar to the running, I guess. I just love the feeling of like the wind in your hair when you cycle, and just the freedom that riding can give you. So, but I'm hoping on this one, by the time I get to the bike, because that's the last leg, I'll just be so static that I've swum the channel that I just get through it, like whatever happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever get lonely during your training?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, with the weather's, like, I guess training through winter in Canberra can be a bit harsh at times, and that kind of, you do. But I just think of the bigger picture, and I've chosen to do this. It's all a choice, and so I can't complain about it. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky enough to be able to do this and be in this situation. So I guess it's just knowing that the dips are going to come, and it's going to be hard, but that you can pull yourself out of it, and remembering, why I'm doing this, and people have. I think one thing that's really surprised me is how people have become interested in this, and this is just something I wanted to do, and I followed down that path, and things have grown from it. Like, I mean, talking to you and doing something like this is mental. So I think that spurred me on as well. Like, when I think of all the people that have kind of got behind me a wee bit, then that's motivating.
That's just such a great analogy for all sorts of coping mechanisms, right? The ups and downs, it happens in every part of life, in business, etc. So that's a really, really useful paradigm to think about the bigger picture why, and everybody who's rooting for you, and everybody who's in your world. So in some ways, it's not a lonely enterprise at all. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. I think, like, you got to have some physical ability for sure, but this event, I think, is all about mindset, and, it's just thinking of having keywords to sort of like for the swim, like thinking, okay, rotation, I've got to rotate my body, stretching the arms out, propulsion, like just thinking of all those things at different times. And, I'll ponder on that one word for like half an hour. So time goes.
Propulsion. Yeah, I get that. Sure. So have you thought about after the event? So we don't know what's going to happen. We obviously want you to finish it, because that's the good news story. It's possible you don't, for whatever reason, like there could be weird animals that come up and munch on you during the channel race. I don't know what those might be, or whatever. Like, stuff could happen. Regardless of whether you complete it as planned or it don't, what about afterwards? Have you thought about the post-event? What happens then?
A little bit. I suppose, like, you visualize a little bit of the event, and then afterwards I just imagine being in Paris and eating. But, I guess I try not to dwell too much on the uncontrollables. So, I mean, the weather's the big factor. It'd be devastating if I didn't, get to finish it, but there'd be a reason, and I'm hoping that reason just isn't like from me, like because I can't. So, I think it would just be sad, but there's always another year, I suppose. So, I mean, at the moment, there's an Australian guy whose window is now, but because of the storm in America, Florence, it's really affecting the ocean, and so there's like 50-mile-an-hour winds at the moment, so he can't swim the channel, and they say not until like the 22nd, and his window ends on the 23rd of September. So it's just like, it's just, you just don't know, and he's trying to break the men's record, so he put in so much time and effort, and yet he might not even get to start. So it's, I guess that's all, it's all part of the adventure, I guess, is the environmental factors. But
absolutely. So just explain that a little bit. There's a bunch of racers, and not everybody starts at once. You get given a window where you can start and do the channel or do the whole race. Or tell us about that.
Yeah, so you do the event on your own. So it's you, your support crew, and you have an official alongside you. And they give you, I think it's like 8-day slot. So I'm 29th of September to 8th of October. And they'll say, okay, at 3rd of October at 4 a.m., the tide and weather is perfect for your swim. And then you work out, all right, well, I need 20 hours for the run, 6 hours for food and a bit of rest, and then I would start my swim. So you work back. So it's not really an actual start date set yet. It just depends on the tides and the weather.
Well, this other fellow has a different window.
Yeah, so you all get different windows. Yeah.
Okay, and that's so they can manage the athletes separately.
Yeah, I think so, because I guess there's not too many officials floating around, and also
right.
having a boat and pilot and stuff as well. They have to organise for you. So yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward. Let's say you complete the race. Woohoo! You eat your face off through Paris and have a great time. Are you thinking about the next race? Has that even come up? Or
well, it's funny you should ask. Yeah, it has. Like a few people have asked what's next, and I've got a few thoughts in mind, but it wouldn't be for a little while, I guess. It's very much a team effort, this event. Like I get to do the fun bit of swimming, running and riding, but my partner's been amazing in terms of the logistics and coordination of everything. So I think, a bit of time will be spent on fulfilling their dreams. So that'll be the next thing. But I'm going to keep doing stuff. I really enjoy parkrun and I've missed doing that. So I'd love to get back into parkrun.
Like doing a 5K run on the weekends.
Yeah.
Does that seem ridiculous after you're good about to run 144K or do a 100K run? I missed the 5K run. That's like, I miss like blinking.
But it's such a lovely, I just love the environment of parkrun, and it's a challenge because you kind of try to go fast, and yeah, so I like that. But yeah, there's a bike event I'd love to do in America called it's the Continental Divide Race. So you go from Antelope Wells in New Mexico up to Banff in Canada, and that's a race up the divide on a mountain bike. So that sounds pretty cool. But I think I'm going to have to work for a while and
oh yeah, that thing, money.
Yeah, replenish my savings. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. If you were to give a tip to any, like, not an elite athlete like you, but regular Joe like me, in terms of living a life, what is your best life advice? I guess you've had lots of time to ponder it. You're someone who's living life to the nth degree in these physical challenges and what you're contributing. What would be your message to the general Joe about how they might consider living their lives?
Oh gosh, I'll have to think about that. But I'm just a regular Joe too. I'm not an elite person at all. I guess it's just believing in yourself, really, and following what feels right to you. I guess I've been lucky in that, I've had supportive family who have let me sort of have all the adventures I've been lucky to have, and just, so it's just believing in yourself. And for something like this, it's just being persistent and consistent. That seems to be my little saying at the moment to get through. So, I think that just believing in yourself.
Awesome. So if people want to follow along and check your journey out, what's your website that you have?
So we've got a website going, which is where you'll be able to track how slow I'm moving. So they put a spot tracker on you so you can follow the dot.
Awesome.
So it's lauramarshall, A2A.com.
Okay. A2A, like the number 2 and .com?
Yeah.
Okay. And you also have a Facebook page, right?
Yes.
I'll find that and I'll post I'll link both of those in the show notes.
Okay.
And those will be at zoerouth.com/podcast/Laura.
Thank you, Zoe.
Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome. And so the 29th of September is your kickoff, and we will be monitoring that spot and cheering you on from the distant climes of Australia while you tackle this amazing adventure.
Thank you.
Laura, thank you for sharing your amazingness and awesome sauce with us all. And we wish you so much good luck. And may the weather be with you, and the force too. And may the force be with you too.
Thanks, Zoe. I really appreciate it. That's great.